Did I scare ya? Anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's is an independent multimedia franchise created by Scott Cawthon in 2014. In FNAF 2, he introduced a place called Fredbear's Family Diner over a phone call.
The name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that.
And in FNAF 3 and 4, we get to see Fredbears in minigames. But even up to 2026, the current year, we still have no games based around Fredbear's Family Diner, even though people have been asking for it since 2014. The Mimic is a character who was originally from the books, but came to the games with the release of the Security Breach Ruin DLC. In 2025, a game all about the Mimic was released called Secret of the Mimic. Now, let's talk about how this could or could not lead to a Fredbear's Family Diner game. Now, I was originally against the idea of the Mimic being in a Fredbear's game, not because I dislike the Mimic, but because Glitchtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, the VR game, it's this guy, if you, I'm tapping him, let me move Swing Bonnie. Here, that guy. Glitchtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted is actually the Mimic programming, and it based its costume around what it saw in Murray's Costume Manor. So, the costume looks different from what Spring Bonnie actually looks like. Because it based it off of what it used to see and a description of Spring Bonnie. It's very likely that M1 fully became MXES, and a digital copy of M2 is the one piloting Glitchtrap. For anyone confused about what I just said, M1, or Mimic 1, is the original Mimic programming that Edwin used after his wife Fiona died. It made the Mimic replicate his late wife. M2 was created after the M1 program convinced Edwin to make a copy of their dead child, who is named David, and he ran out into the road and got hit by a car. But Edwin eventually lashed out at the M2, and it started mimicking that violence and killed Edwin. Let's go through a few possibilities on how a Fredbear's game could or couldn't involve the Mimic. If you think the redeemed ending is canon, even though it most likely isn't, then M1 could have never gone to Fredbear's, and then 2 Freddy Fazbear's locations would have been built on top of it. Yeah, very sad for the Mimic. If you think the walk away ending is canon, there's a low chance of M2 escaping after he gets in your car and then drags you back to the Murray's Costume Manor and traps you in one of the spring lawsuits. If you think the Parachute.exe ending is canon, then after you crash and the Mimic steals your data diver, it could have gone to Fredbear's Family Diner and used your data diver to gain access to the location. It most likely doesn't upload a branch of itself to the data diver, because then Glitchtrap would know how Spring Bonnie looks, which is impossible, obviously, because it doesn't look like Spring Bonnie in the game, okay? So that means the digital copy was made sometime between Edwin lashing out at M2 and Edwin's death. Now, let's talk about what could happen in a Fredbear's game with and without the Mimic. If the Fredbear's game were to have the Mimic, we could have a game similar to the old Scott games, finally, where we have to keep the Mimic out of the office and get the data diver back while it hides in costumes. Or another 3D game where we try to fight off and capture the Mimic and get the data diver back, which is most likely. But if the Fredbear's game doesn't have the Mimic, there's a possibility of us dealing with robbers, which is the excuse the phone guy made in FNAF 1 for having you in the office late at night. There's even a possibility of seeing William Afton as a main enemy, or maybe a final enemy. And this game could either be like the old games or 3D, most likely 3D though. So, tell me your theories in the comments on what would happen in the game if we actually end up getting a Fredbear's game. As a fan since basically the beginning of FNAF, I'd be pretty excited no matter what happens in the game. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe.